All right. Welcome back to the Night Report podcast post-game live show. Apologies again for the late start here. Rutgers nearly killed all of us today by heart attack or whatever malady you might suffer from. They played with their food way too much, but they found a way at the end of the game to pull it out, which one of the toughest places to play in college football. Coming out with a win as an underdog, I'll take it at the end of the day. But a lot more negatives to take out of this game, in my opinion, than positives.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I thought going into halftime, I have stuff written down. You know, Kirk Shiraka out coaching the DC by a million miles. The run game was meh. Pass game looked pretty good. They ran the same pass play about 18 different times, and it worked 18 different times. And then all of a sudden, things just kind of fell apart completely. And I don't know if you blame the OC for not running the ball, or you blame Greg Schiano for not telling the OC to run the ball late game when you're up. But a lot of negatives towards the end of the game. But first half, I thought it was like immaculate.
Yeah, there was just so many things that if you could have scripted it up a certain way, that's exactly how Schiano would have scripted it. I'm just going to go to the play charts here. Rutgers wins the toss, and they defer to the second half. They get a quick 3-and-out. Beautiful. Rutgers also on offense, 3-and-out. Not great, but Virginia Tech fumbles the ensuing punt. Rutgers gets a short field and is able to punch it in for a 9-play, 31-yard touchdown drive. Then Virginia Tech turns it over on downs. Rutgers is able to get another touchdown off of that short field. Virginia Tech scores its only touchdown of the first half, and then Rutgers just goes into playing with its food mode. They miss a field goal from 36 yards out, which honestly not that great. But if you look at that was from 4th and 8. So they missed the 36-yard field goal. Virginia Tech goes 3-and-out again. Then Rutgers is able to march down the field. What might have been their best drive of the game. That's the one where on 4th and 1, they line up to go for it. Virginia Tech jumps off sides. And then, of course, we, on 1st and goal, get a really nice pass to Kenny Fletcher. He fumbles at the 1-yard line. Then they commit a safety 3 plays later. And then that's the end of the half. Okay, 16-7. It's a bit of a scrum at the end of the first half. Rutgers gets the ball coming out of the half. They score a quick touchdown, and then immediately Kyron Drones fumbles it. At this point in the game is when you need to go into next stomping mode.
Yep.
They get the ball at like the 25-yard line, and they turn it over on downs. And this, in my opinion, is where the play calling starts to do us in. Because at 4th and goal from the 1-yard line, why are you not ramming that ball right up the middle? Because we still had momentum at that time. Why are we not running either Sam Brown or Kyle Monunga?
I don't know. I wish I could tell you.
Just total we had so many beautifully designed plays, so many instances where we ran a certain look to set up the second time you run the look and run something slightly different out of it. We ran so much motion with Ian Strong early in the game to set up pass plays later in the game to him out of that motion. And so we turned it over on downs, but then we forced another 3-and-out. Awesome. We're still playing good. We still have all the momentum. Then things get even stranger, where we get the ball and we're starting to commit penalties. We're throwing the ball probably more than we should at the time. This very strange, lining up for a 53-yard field goal, thinking, okay, they're taking the delay of game here to see if they'll jump off sides. But no, they line up again from 58 yards out to kick another field goal. And then they commit an offsides penalty. Then we line up again at 53, and it wasn't even close. At that point, Jay Patel, his confidence clearly wasn't there. He missed a chip shot, something he didn't do at all last year. But don't worry, because we force another turnover on downs. And at that point is when the coaching really goes off the rails. Because at this point, minute left in the third quarter, Rutgers is still up by 16 points. We go drop back pass. Ethan gets sacked on first down. Second down, drop back pass. Ethan gets sacked. like, why did we come out trying to throw the ball with so little time left, up by 16 points? And then at that point, you have to chuck it deep, or maybe you don't. Maybe you run it, but they just decide to chuck it deep. And we, like, the punts all night were gross. They were just these rollout, like, dead ducks floating through the air. And that's the big return by Jalen Lane, which sets up the Bashal Tootin touchdown, where, we were just basically getting carved up on defense at that point. And then we can't do anything on offense. Virginia Tech marches just as easily down the field to tie the game. And then thank freaking God for that screen call to Ian Strong. Like, for all the shit we just talked about, the play calling, that was a beautifully designed play, because they didn't run anything that looked even remotely like it. And Ian Strong was able to take it 63 yards. But then the offense totally crapped the bed again. Like, you're just running straight up the middle. Like, we became far too predictable in predictable situations. We got the field goal to go up for good, and then we get the miracle interception by Beam to salt the game away. And of course, we needed another first down to actually win it. So that's just kind of the high level stuff that I noticed. I just basically went through the play chart, but man, that game, we should have won that game by 30 points, and we barely squeaked it out. What were some of the things that you noticed that really drove you crazy? Because, I mean, it started off great. Like, we were playing fantastic for a while, and then we weren't.
I mean, I could speak from just watching it in practice over the past couple of years. Putting Patel out there for anything near 50 yards or more is just a bad idea. It just doesn't work. He doesn't have the leg strength. Is he accurate for the most part? Yes. But to put him out there for a 50-yarder, it just doesn't make sense to me. That's why there was a kicking competition in the first place last year between him and Jude. That's why, like, in scrimmages last year, Jude would take the 50-plus yarders, and then Patel would take everything shorter, which made sense, whatever. But to throw him out and do that, I never understood it. And then to pass the ball when you're up so much, like not late game, but like third quarter, you're up like 2 scores. You have Kyle Monangai, who's one of the better running backs in the league or in the nation. And not only the nation, the conference too, but like, and then Sam Brown, who's having one of the better games of his career. Like, just run the ball and run the clock out. And the announcers kept saying it. They kept getting, how do you kill a team? 4-yard chunks, 4-yard chunks, 4-yard chunks. 3 4-yard chunks is a first down. Just keep doing it. Stop getting fancy with all this triple option stuff. Like, it was working a little bit here and there, and you saw Kenny Fletcher. And there was a couple different times where it looked phenomenal and it worked out. But don't get too fucking cute. And that's what they would do. They got too cute, and then it got. I don't even know why are you passing? Like,
they were. They were. I said it in 2 different ways, and I think they both work. One is the less acceptable way. They were fucking around and they found out. And the other one was they were playing with their food. They were just like continually getting in their own way when they should have been icing that game. If you just look at the general stats, they did really well on third down. They were 8 for 17 on the day. They held Virginia Tech on third and fourth down to 5 of 14. Rutgers had 422 total yards. I couldn't believe how many passing yards they had looking after the game.
Insane.
We had near 100-yard receivers in this game. Ian Strong on the back of that one long reception, but Dymere Miller, he was just, between him and Kenny Fletcher, those guys were just getting whatever they wanted all game. And I thought Ethan played a pretty good game. The thing that really annoyed me was that the offense looked pretty harmonious until they went for the deep shots. The deep shots threw off the offense every single time they ran it today. It just put them off schedule, whereas otherwise they were pretty much, for the most part, moving pretty smoothly. They weren't necessarily picking up a first down every 2 downs, but they were finding a way to move the ball, whether it be through the air or through on the ground. But when they would dial up those deep shots, that would just put them, at 2nd and 10 or 3rd and 13 or whatever they ended up being at. But they just had too many instances where they've tried a deep shot. It wasn't even like they were fairly accurate, but they were all like basically out of bounds. Like, there was a couple that they caught and they were just by where the ball was positioned, there was just no way that the receiver could have realistically stayed in bounds for it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. This is just it was a bad day. And then like the last drive with Virginia Tech, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but that last drive with Virginia Tech, they just couldn't stop a nosebleed. Like that was just Bishal Tootin running, Kyron Drones running. They just ran all over. It was just outside run. And then Kyron Drones takes off for what, 30, 40-yard gain, something like that, maybe. It was just insane. They were just beyond like tired, it looked like almost. And that's
they were worn down for sure.
Team coming off a bye week, mind you. Like that's not a good sign. You got Ethan, your quarterback's puking over here. Like,
yeah, I don't know if he was sick or if he was just running out of gas, but no interceptions from Ethan. I don't even think there was really any balls that were put into a place where they could have been intercepted. And if you take the deep shots out of this, Ethan was probably like 16 for 19 passing, and we'll get the full numbers later in the week when PFF updates. But no turnovers from Ethan is obviously a great sign. I agree, Jordan. Virginia Tech clearly sold out to stop the run, and Ethan routinely beat them. And I don't mind that they went to the passing game late. It's just that you need to kind of, at least on first down when you're up 16, run the ball, try and get 2 or 3 yards to set up a 2nd and 7. So you're staying on schedule, because if you get sacked on first down, setting up a 2nd and 16, the odds you're going to end up punting the ball are exponentially higher than if you would have gotten like 1 or 2 yards. And let's talk about the gift from above, that PI call on Ben Black, 3rd and 12, where Rutgers couldn't, probably get a first down on a JV team at the time. They call the PI, which continues the drive. They set up the field goal off that. But man, that was really fortuitous in a game where not many penalties were called, where I think they probably could have been. There was a lot of really iffy calls that they didn't make in terms of like holds, especially on some of those plays that they strung out with Bishal Tootin. There was a couple times where I just saw Aaron Lewis, like, the where they try and like over dramatize every time they get held, where they like throw their arms like way up and they're like flailing around. He did that a handful of times, and they probably could have called a few. It was a Big Ten staffs or Big Ten referee group, so. Luka, I was nervy, but we could have scored in the 40s, learn from it, clean it up, and kick ass next game. Totally agree.
Don't disagree.
I think Shiano has said multiple times it's so much easier to learn from mistakes coming off a win than a loss, and he's right. But at the same time, I feel like this was one of those rare instances where the coaching staff was equally to blame for the team's descent into madness in the second half than the players. I just thought like the coaching staff lost their mind, because decision making. What was the one of these drives? It was 4th and 1 from like the 40-yard line late in the game, and Shiano didn't go for it. He took the delay game,
3rd to last,
punted it back.
4th to last.
Was it this one?
That was a punt at the end, wasn't it? Yeah, I forget where it was.
It might have been this one, maybe.
3rd 2. 4.
Yeah, this is the one. 4th and 1 from the Virginia Tech 44. That is a play that you have to line up and just assert your dominance as a team that has an identity that you want to run the ball. I'm going to get one too in a second. But this right here, this shit is fucking cowardly to not go for it there. I don't care about momentum. If you want to show your team, I still believe in you, and we're going to go win this game, because you know that Virginia Tech's going to get the ball back and they're going to score. So this is your opportunity to flip it. And it was a terrible punt to begin with. So you're giving up 24 yards of field position, one big play. That's some bullshit. You have to fucking go for it there, especially when earlier in the game you did it multiple times. It's like playing blackjack, and you have a 16, the dealer's showing a 10, you hit it and you lose.
Have to. Yeah.
The next hand you get a 16 again, the dealer's showing a 10, you hit it and you lose, and both times the dealer crapped out.
You have to.
It doesn't matter. This is how you have to play the game. It's about process, not about results. This is something that like it just feels antithetical to what Shiano normally does. That's why it was so annoying to see in real time.
Well, like Shiano 1.0 would be probably doing the same thing, but Shiano 2.0 has been very adamant about going for it on 4th down, especially when you're that close. It's like you get that first down, that's a total game-changing moment right there.
Yep.
Or game-ending moment even. Like
it's damn near it. I mean, you're probably getting to the 40-yard line. It's fresh set of downs, 8.5 minutes left. Continue to move the ball. You're in field goal position at that point. Unbelievable that they didn't go for it there, in my opinion.
Yeah. I want to know who's call. I mean, it's probably Greg's call at the end of the day, but like the play calling was dog shit in the third and fourth quarter. Like, what are we talking? Like, what happened? And it was such a beautifully called game in that first half. In the second half, it was like the ugly. It was Kirk Shiraka 1.0. That's the Kirk Shiraka we saw that got fired by Greg in his first tenure.
Yeah, and I thought like to go from the first half, we were calling a tush push, and you're getting a yard, and then you call it again, but you modify it slightly to do a fumble Ruski type thing to score a touchdown. That is brilliant. Like any defensive coordinator is going to think you're just going to run it again and get it that time, but we didn't. And there were how many times did we do that like design little rollout or throw it to Kenny Fletcher? But not only did it work, but we built off of that. So we had, we threw it to Kenny Fletcher like 2 or 3 times, and then we would throw it to Damier Miller running down the sideline for like 15 yards. So
and
I thought
God forbid, like Ethan could take off if he had to. Like he took off a lot today. Like that's that option that I was telling you about. They ran it like the announcers kept saying they're like, this is like the 6th time in a row they've ran the same play, and it just keeps working and working and working. Like, what the fuck did you stop for?
Yeah, I wish I knew. Rutgers allowed its first 3 sacks of the season. We're going to see all those flowery PFF posts taken down about the offensive line. But Ethan I was talking about this on the spaces. He does 2 things specifically that I think we desperately needed in a quarterback this year. And I agree, Morosi, he did play great.
Yeah.
The first thing is that we no longer are hamstrung by down and distance for play calls. We can call basically any type of play within reason in any scenario. Whereas last year, we basically had to run on almost every situation. And the second is Ethan can get rushing yards when plays break down. And that's something that if Gavin had a play on, let's say he got a 1st and 10 and, the hot read isn't open and his second read isn't open either, he would just throw it, 3 rows deep into the stands. Doesn't do necessarily any damage, but at the same time, you're running into a 2nd and 10 the following down. Whereas Ethan, he'll see his 1st and 2nd read aren't there. And if he sees a hole up the middle, he'll just take 4 yards and he keeps you on schedule. It's 2nd and 6 now. And it keeps the offense on schedule and moving forward. And you just didn't see that at all last year. I think Gavin's scramble rate last year was like 7%. And you'd think it'd be a lot higher for a quarterback that had so much rushing production. But it really wasn't. It was all basically designed runs.
Man, I mean, his line today too was kind of wishy-washy. I thought the right side of that line really struggled here or there. Kobe Asamoah gave up a sack. I think Tyler Needham technically played a role in that Konopka sack, although it was mostly Konopka just kind of not blocking in the slightest. The tight end blocking was awful. Mind you, Kenny Fletcher, great receiver, minus that one little fumble. Other than that, really good day. And then the blocking between him and Konopka was like atrocious, like absolutely disgusting. But there were some highlights, though. There was some good stuff.
If somebody knows in the chat, who was the last Rutgers receiver to get 100 yards receiving in a game? Because Ian Strong got it today. We won in VT. All the momentum is on their side. I agree in, the 3rd and 4th quarter, it was all on their side. So thanks for the comment, Ahmad.
Was it Bo?
It's either Bo or Aaron Cruikshank.
Yeah, maybe Cruikshank. That'd make more
sense. Luke, I agree. There isn't anybody we should play this year we can't hang with physically. USC doesn't look nearly as good as they have recently against Michigan. I don't know what the final score of that game was, but that was a slugfest.
27-24, they lost.
USC lost?
Yeah. To a bad Michigan team, mind you.
That is a bad Michigan team. Hopefully everyone, players and coaches included, will learn from this game and get better. You'll need a full 60 minutes of good play moving forward. Totally agree. They can't afford to just totally go limp, for lack of a better term, for a long stretch of the game. Because let's look at Virginia Tech's drives too. From the start of the game, they go 3 and out, fumble, turnover on downs, touchdown, 3 and out, safety, and a half. That's their first half. They're basically giving us the game. And then out of the second half, what are they doing? They're giving us even more of the game. Fumble, 3 and out, turnover on downs. That's 7 of their first 8 drives. They totally crapped themselves. And Rutgers could not put them away. Again, a part of me is mad because I bet this game every single possible way in Rutgers' favor. I got as soon as the line came out, I hammered the money line, and it dropped from like plus 160 to like plus 126 by the time the game opened. I got it at 2.5, 6.5, 9.5, 13.5, 16.5, and 19.5. And for a while, it looked like a lot of those bets were going to hit, and suddenly it didn't. So maybe I'm just a little extra salty right now because of that.
Are you the new mush, the Rutgers mush?
I mean, we still won, so I'll take it. I'm just looking. I'm trying to catch up on the comments. Sorry, guys, we are way behind on these.
No, I'm reading like all my notes too. It's just like they're just. I kept writing how good the play calling was, the options, the motions. They had strong in the slot in the one, and then he goes in, motions out, and then it's just like a wide open. I think it was either him or wide open Kenny Fletcher because of the motion. Like the goal line was interesting too.
Yep.
I thought that was kind of the fake tush push, the Aaron Lewis pressure, like dominant runs. Like I just keep reading. Like turnover on special teams was huge. That penalty in the early part of the game was huge. Like there's so much. Like the only thing that like there was a couple moments early on where Ethan I thought struggled. Like when I think it was a Chris Long crosser. He just kind of missed him a little bit, kind of threw behind him, and that was kind of a bad incompletion. There's also one, I think, late game it was, or middle, third quarter, where he threw it right at the defensive lineman's like chest.
Oh yeah, that was at Blumfield. Blumfield like jumped a route and it hit him like 5 yards away from where he was standing.
Yeah,
this might have been my favorite pass of the game. This was that stick route that Kenny Fletcher ran, where Ethan had to throw it around the defender. It was literally just like a perfect pass, and Kenny Fletcher made a really nice fingertips grab. I thought Ethan played really well. I agree. He showed he's definitely a Big Ten quarterback. He didn't complete the deep passes, but most of his intermediate stuff was well thrown. The ACC broadcasting crew, awful again. Big shocker. I tweeted out that I just was begging for Matt Millen just to like pop out from underneath the desk and just take over because they were that bad.
That says a lot.
Yeah, you're telling me. This I totally agree with Mr. Shake. Virginia Tech was preparing to just 100% stop the run, and those little option plays just ate them up because they didn't really adjust until really late in the game. This is a testament to the toughness and the senior leadership of this team that they were able to not let this game slip away. But it took an amazing play by Robert Longerbeam to salt this game away. And you can play C+ ball and learn A+ lessons from it, if that makes sense. You can realize, okay, we cannot do X, Y, and Z in these situations again because we cannot allow this to happen to our team again. And I hope that the coaching staff has learned some serious lessons because this would have been more of a coaching staff loss than a team loss, in my opinion. The team did not play well in the second half.
100%.
But the coaching staff was driving this team into the freaking ground. Winning a road game, always huge. We got multiple monkeys off the back. This is something that David Anderson talked about. We have our first Power 4 win of the season coming off this win. We have our first road victory coming off this win. We have our first game as an underdog that we've won coming off this win. So we checked a lot of boxes today, so they're not as scary the second time you do it. It's like, jumping off the diving board. If you go to the top diving board and you jump from 30 meters up, 10 meters and 20 meters, they don't really seem that scary. If you can just jump from the top the first one, that's kind of what it feels like. Terrible decision there.
Like I said before, the offensive line kind of struggled. I thought Asamoah and Needham were kind of weak links. I thought Felter at points looked kind of weak. I thought basically it was Pierce was the only guy that I was really confident in today, and the rest is meh. And now, mind you, that's a better defensive line unit than they faced, obviously, but it's also a very decent, like solid defensive line unit. Pebbles, whatever his name is pretty solid. They have one of the better edge rushers in APR, I think it was. Yeah, something Raymond. I thought they looked actually pretty solid for a defensive line unit, and they're going to win some games in that ACC this year. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Virginia Tech is just not really well coached, and we saw a few instances of that this game, from the fumble on the special teams. They didn't get the block we were calling for, but they had committed a massive special teams mistake in every game of the season so far. They make it 4 out of 4 where they make that mistake, and then jumping on that 4th down. That was Peebles. Peebles is a freaking graduate transfer.
Yeah. How the hell Duke got him? Like, I guess Elko, but
Rutgers, it was a 4th and 1. Rutgers calls a timeout. Then we line up and Virginia Tech calls a timeout. And then on the 3rd iteration of it, we run the play. Well, we don't even run the play. We get them to jump off sides. Like, how as a 50-year senior do you do that? Like, how do you allow a 50-year senior to do that in your program? To me, that just kind of is evidence even more of that they're just so poorly coached.
Yeah, I mean, first-time head coach. I know they've had the same OC and DC in the 3 years that Pry's been there. I know there's been complaints about both of them. I thought Tyler Bowen just isn't a good OC in general, but he had moments today where maybe Kyron. I mean, let's be honest, they didn't even have Kyron Jones as their starter last year at this point. They had Grant Wells, who was at mid, if that, maybe below mid.
He was not good.
Yeah, so it's like you got to question that. Like, I know he's loyal to his guys at the end of the day because it's his first staff, but there's got to come a point where, like, your seat's going to get too hot and your loyalty is going to end up costing you your job.
Yep, totally.
So
Johnson, Al, Kyle bounce back next week. I mean, yeah, Washington's run defense is bad, but why did they go away from him so much? Like, Kyle Monungai was just missing in action for large swaths of this game, and when he was in the game, he wasn't very effective. As a team, they averaged less than 3 yards a carry on the game. You take out the sacks, and it's probably more like 4. But Kyle Monungai, 26 carries for 84 yards, and there was 2 or 3 drives in a row where he didn't even get a snap, which I thought was very strange.
I mean, if you look at the big plays, quote unquote, I think looking at Stat Broadcast, they classify as a big play as anything over 10 yards. There's only 3 rushes on there. And one's from Sam Brown, 2 from Kyle Monungai. Like, the rest was like, like, I didn't think the run game was great. But I kind of said that in our pregame too. If you, when we were talking with David Cunningham the other day, I said, like, if you go back to their games against Old Dominion and their games against Vanderbilt and Marshall, most of those running yards were coming either in garbage time in the last drive of the game or against quarterbacks. And that's where it was kind of a little wishy-washy because the numbers said they had a bad run defense, but in reality, it was more of a we can't stop the quarterback from running type thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Those kind of like breakdown yards in the rushing game rather than just designed runs.
It's still running yards, rushing yards, but a little different.
Jersey Jet said Bailey and Powell. I'll expound for you. Powell made the first play of the game, and it was a 2-yard loss, and it kind of felt like, okay, he's back. Yeah. And Wesley Bailey was just abusing his
Parker Clements.
Parker Clements. He was just taking him to school. Yeah. Obviously, he got the sack safety, which was one of the bigger plays of the game. You could tell that the defense, when they were playing well in the first 2.5, 3-ish quarters, they really needed those 2 guys. And then by the end of the game, they were just totally gassed. Appreciate you guys telling the truth here. I mean, we just try and just call balls and strikes. I don't think everybody necessarily does that in the industry. Not calling anybody out specifically, but I think there are certain people who kind of paint certain pictures.
Sunshine.
We don't try and be one of them. Yeah. And that's, again, not a direct slight at anybody.
You know who you are.
Let's see. I'm trying to keep up with all these comments. Appreciate
Yeah.
everybody dropping them in. Delmarva Fishing, once again, thank you for the donation. You're always the first to pull out your wallet on these, so thanks again, man.
Appreciate it, man.
The tunnel screen was a brilliant call. Almost let
Mhm.
BT off the hook on a lot of mistakes. Yeah, they need to figure out how to stop the perimeter trap. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I thought Ian Strong, man, I thought he was going to score there. I could not believe that he ran out of gas at the 15. That was bummer.
It seems like a lot of these guys they're not super speedy, other than the slot guys mostly. But it's just that's what happens when you go for these tall, lengthier, bulkier wide receivers. I mean, that's just the name of the game. If you want the length and the height, or do you want speed and size, or speed and quickness?
Yeah, it's kind of a pick your poison type situation. You hope to get both, but not everybody is Megatron.
Yeah.
So
no, that's true. Yeah.
I'll take a bad day with a win at Lane City mini day. Yep. I mean, ultimately, if we just look at this from 10,000 feet, like we said at the beginning, Rutgers went to a hostile environment as an underdog and won.
Very true.
Take that.
Yeah.
Night Watch, thank you for the donation, my friend. Gentleman, close one. Sure was. Didn't need to be, though.
No. Didn't have to be at all.
Maybe they all had the flu. Let's talk about that. There was a few viral moments in this game. The one was the safety, which I'm sure will be a GIF somewhere. The other was Ethan Kaliak-Manis refunding his lunch all over the field.
Yep.
I wonder if there was some kind of sickness going around on the team.
Yeah, I haven't listened to the press conference yet, obviously, because we started this up. But I'm assuming Greg's going to say something about that. I can't imagine someone not asking him about his quarterback puking in the middle of the field, in the middle of the game. Maybe just ate something at halftime, maybe a power bar or something to get your energy back, and just boop, there it goes.
Yeah, I don't know what it could have been, but Ron says it well here. It could have been worse. At least we didn't lose to Stanford like Syracuse did.
That is true.
So true. Those orange tears tasted very good late last night as I watched Kenny, the kicker for Stanford, just drill a no-doubter from 39 yards out to take down the orange.
Might get some hate here. I do like Fran. He's always been good to me. He's a nice guy. I wish him well. It just sucks that he's at a regional school like that. So it's hard to root for him when he's right down the road.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. My crown. We are totally celebrating this.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
We played 2.5 to 3 really good quarters. We just have to step on the throats of teams. Like, this was a game we should have won by 30 points, and we barely squeaked it out. To barely squeak it out is an indictment on this team in itself, that we didn't totally fold when things were, going bad around us. But, we got to call it like it is. Like, Rutgers should have put this team away way earlier than they did.
I don't disagree one bit. Just echoing everything you basically just said.
Yep. Let's see what else we got here. I'm scrolling down. You guys have put so many comments in, so I really appreciate that.
I mean, Manny right here, just basically, you just got to learn from it. Like, you got to learn from these mistakes and just understand, we fucked up with the play calling. We should have probably just ran the ball. I know they were trying to stuff the box and trying to stop the run. Got to get a little bit creative with the run game. But overall, you got to change some things up. You can't be passing when you're up 2 scores late in the game.
Garden State Gardner, thank you for the donation. Joe Kozlowski said hi. Boom. Could some of them be sick, Delmarva? We're speculating it, maybe. Like we said, we'll have to see what Greg says in the post game.
Yeah. Let's see if he said anything, actually.
Yeah. Pull it up. Okay. We asked this a while ago. Bo had 100 yards in Northwestern 21, hitting the road back to New Jersey now. Hope you all enjoyed the coverage. Oh, that's Alec. What's going on, Alec? Drive safe, bud. Thanks for going down there. I hope you enjoyed your time.
I've heard bad things about Blacksburg already. But
oh, boy.
Yeah. Let's just say there's a reason he's going back home this quick.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is probably the best case scenario before Washington. They won the game, but there will be zero complacency. You hope. You gotta hope. Yeah. We'll see. Short week for Washington. Washington, I believe, is playing
Northwestern.
now.
Yeah.
They're playing Northwestern at Northwestern. I know that Cam Porter is out for that game. Northwestern star running back.
17-0 right now. Washington.
Okay. I mean, Northwestern sucks, so that shouldn't be a surprise that Washington would beat them. But you'd like to see them get knocked around a bit before they have to come east. Let's see here.
It should be a good atmosphere next week, Friday night.
Oh, it'll be fantastic. No doubt.
Top since what? What do you think?
It'll be the best game environment since Michigan 2014. Ooh. That was the basically the final nail in Brady Hoke's coffin.
Yeah,
earlier that year, we also played Penn State in our first Big Ten game ever. Mm-hmm. That was an awesome environment too. That was mid-September, and the Michigan game was mid-October. Yeah. We won the Michigan game and we lost the Penn State game, so we'll take the good or the bad, I suppose. But yeah, that's my my measuring stick. So basically, the best game in a decade.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Friday Night Lights will be very exciting now for sure, and I think if we win against Washington on Friday night, I think the cowards will have to rank us. I don't think there'll be any way they could hold us out.
I think they're going to get votes this week. I don't know by who, but I think they'll get a couple.
Yep. Dan Huff, I see Chris Long's potential, but it's not translating to game day. I saw a lot of misses / drops on game day. That's 3 straight weeks where he has catches that he should make. I agree. There was a few. I mean, there was a slant across the middle that he had hit him in the hands that he didn't catch, and I feel like we've seen that exact replay 3 or 4 times this year.
Mm-hmm. He's in a weird situation because, like, going back to spring, there was a chance that he wouldn't even be on the roster this fall. He was dealing with some recovery issues with his injury history. And there was a lot of speculation he was going to be on the roster this fall. And then all of a sudden he made it back, went to training camp, and he looked like one of the better receivers. I know people love to hype up Duff because of his recruiting ranking. And don't get me wrong, he's going to be good. He's going to be a solid receiver at Rutgers, but I wouldn't put him and switch him just yet. I mean, Chris Long just had a really good game last week. Let's be honest. He had some misses still, but he had a really good game last week. And mind you, it's mostly off that one big play. But if that big play threat is there with Chris Long, who's a little bit shorter, a little bit faster than a Corey Duff type, I think you got to give him another chance at least, or just keep him out there for now. I would not, and I'm not putting a true freshman out there just yet. And if anyone's going to take his spot, it's going to be Benjamin Black. It's not going to be Corey Duff, just FYI.
Yep, I totally agree there. Do your projections change after today? So mine don't, because I had this as a win.
I think mine do technically.
Yeah, so Rich had this as a loss
from
our projection show. Otherwise, I still think winning at Nebraska is going to be tough. Not impossible. You saw Illinois go in there and do it. Illinois plays a similar style of football as Rutgers.
Yeah.
USC got beat by Michigan today, who's Michigan play kind of like Rutgers. USC's always struggled with teams like that. Utah has always given them fits. Then you have Minnesota, Maryland, Illinois. Illinois is going to be a harder game than I think any of us thought.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
And Michigan State is kind of been hit or miss. So I think 9-3 is still right around where I think this team ends up.
I still think 8-4, 9-3. I'm probably going to stick 8-4 just because that Illinois team really scares me. USC on the road Friday night across the country, just it screams bad matchup. But going back to that Illinois team, who knows? They might be tired as hell with the way they play in late season. I don't know if they have the bodies to keep up with it. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. That's going to be an intriguing coaching matchup too, because Bielema is a damn good coach in his own right. He's proven it at multiple stops now in the Big Ten specifically. And between him and Greg Schiano, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Long way to go, but
yeah, totally. I'm just going through these comments. There are so many comments. We really appreciate you guys doing this. I'm just trying to get to some stuff that we haven't hit on here. Dremel over Long. What's going on with Dremel? Why isn't he? He's the only thing he's good seemingly on the field for is to catch punts and kicks.
Dremel can't play anything other than the slot. It's kind of well known, and he's not taking Dymere Miller's spot, so probably not going to happen. Like I said before, if anyone comes in, it's probably going to be Benjamin Black. He's raved about in training camp. I guess we could talk about this now. During the scrimmages, like one of the scrimmages, he led the team in receiving by like a mile. He looked phenomenal. Mind you, he's probably going against in the scrimmage. I think he was going against cornerback 2 / the second team defense. So it wasn't the greatest of competition, but I mean, hell, that second team defense had a bunch of guys out there today. You saw Jabome, you saw Moses Walker, you saw Kaj Sanders a lot actually. Which I thought was interesting. And that kind of brings me back to one of the other comments that's right above this. If I can click on it,
go for it.
The Powell thing. Powell played a lot more than I thought he would for a guy in his first game back after coming off an Achilles, mind you, in January, and an ACL a wrist last year.
Yeah, no, he set the tone early in that game. I was shocked that he played as much early as he did. Mm-hmm. He kind of I wouldn't say he blew me away, but he pleasantly surprised me for sure.
Yeah. I thought he played a lot more than I was expecting. I did not expect a whole lot out of him today. And like you said, he played really well. And it's interesting because I think Jabome technically dominated the snaps at the other linebacker spot, but they rotated Moses Walker in too and put Moses in coverage, who I actually thought Jabome was the better coverage guy, but they're both kind of interchangeable in that other linebacker spot. So that's good to know going forward. It does make me like go back, and you can't look back at it now, but like if they had Mo Toure, how different this team would be.
Oh,
and the defense is already good. Like it would just be next level good if they had Toure. So I
totally agree.
It hurts to say, but
it does. It's but yeah, like you said,
we'll just wait till next year to find out.
That's true. Is Shiano's presser been posted anywhere?
No, I haven't gotten an email or anything. I haven't seen anyone post quotes or a single thing yet. I would assume he's still going to do one. I'd be shocked if he didn't. But
yeah, it's like an obligation. He can't just not do it.
It's true. Although they've gotten away with it in the past.
Maybe during COVID, but
yeah, for away games, I should say specifically. But if you go through Twitter in general and just type in Greg Schiano, because I'm looking for quotes from the presser, a lot of people are attacking him for saying he doesn't have the gall to go for it on 4th and 1 on the opponent 45. It's gutless. It's like, oh, geez. Like, and he should have went for it. He should have just went for it. That's it. Simple as that.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we've kind of gone. Well, we've gone like 45 minutes. I did a mid-game Twitter space and kind of went over a lot of the stuff that I thought was important at the time. Kind of gone over everything from the game. Is there any other questions you guys have about anything before we head out of here?
I love how everyone, the last like 5 comments are, can you believe we have a pass game? Ethan's game, best game by far. Positive takeaway: we could throw the ball. Like,
it's nice to be able to construct a 21st century offense for sure. Keontae Hamilton shout out, absolutely. Let's shout him out because he 100%. Did play so well. He his TFL in the game was just like dog walking the guard. He just literally did a swim move, tossed him to the side, and just ate up the running back. That was one of the bigger plays of the game.
I want to talk about that too, actually. Now, I'm glad you brought that up because if you go back to it, they double team Malcolm Ray on that one with the center. And they left the left guard, mind you, who's not their starting left guard. This is their backup left guard that had to start the game one-on-one with the defensive tackle and Keontae Hamilton. Why are you putting the guy who's your backup in the one-on-one situation? If anything, you help that guy more. It's just and that goes back to the coaching thing. Like, I just feel like their coaching staff is just – they're very green. They're very new to not new to college football. They're new to play calling, and they're new to like teach. I don't even know who their O-line coach is, but their offensive coordinator is just an issue. Tyler Bowen is not the best in the world. He's just not good, I don't think. And I think Virginia Tech fans have to be a little bit pissed off for the sole fact that they had a shot. They had a shot when they shouldn't have had a shot. So I mean, it's but shout out to Keontae Hamilton. I don't want to take away from him too much, but he had a hell of a game today.
Somebody asked what we think the Washington line is. Rich, do you have a piece of paper in front of you?
I do.
All right, you want to write down what you think the line's going to be, and I'll write it down, and we can both show each other at the same time.
All right, home game. Let's see what we got here.
So just write who you think the favorite's going to be, and then minus whatever the spread you think is going to be.
Okay, I'm going to write it real big so everyone can see it. All right, let me know. 1, 2, 3.
I got Rutgers minus 3.5 in this one.
I put 2.
You got minus 2?
Yeah,
What's your thoughts on that?
I think that Washington is dominating right now. I know they have the one loss to Washington State, but they still gain a lot of respect around the country. I think Rutgers is going to beat that spread, either of our spreads, to be honest with you. I am very, very confident Rutgers is going to beat them. I just think Vegas is going to think of this as it's still, they're going to think of it as it's still Rutgers. Nationally, they don't get the rep that they deserve at the end of the day. And I think I know it's across the country. I know it's Friday night, short week for both of them, shorter week for Washington, technically.
Yeah.
I just think the fact that Washington's probably going to come off a really, really big win, whereas Rutgers is coming off they're going to look at it like, 3-point win to Virginia Tech, who's versus a massive win against a Big Ten opponent in Northwestern, who, again, is not good, but a massive win versus a meh win. I just think that the book's probably going to – it might open like 2.5, but I think it could jump too, and it could jump more in Rutgers' favor.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing is Washington's playing right now in Chicago, right? Or are they playing in where are they playing? Are they playing
that weird makeshift stadium thing, aren't they?
But they are playing on the road right now.
I believe
Just
so.
want to be clear.
Wait.
No, they're playing at home. Okay,
yeah.
Sorry. So they're playing at home. If they were playing in Chicago, that would be just downright dastardly for the Big Ten to schedule that. But yeah, so they're not going to get done until late, and then they got to fly at some point all the way across the country on a short week. That's going to be tough. We'll see. I feel good about that game, but I've been so deep in Virginia Tech, like, reading their boards, listening to their podcasts. Like, I've been listening to so much of their stuff for like the last month, 2 months, that I just haven't finally like realized that we're in a second in a new week, basically starting tomorrow. So I'll start my Washington deep dive tomorrow.
They just gave up a safety, FYI. It's 17-2 now.
So, okay.
Yeah. Will Rogers is good, man. He's a good quarterback. It's going to be the Rutgers DBs versus him, basically.
You've seen how bad Mississippi State is without him?
Yeah, they're trash. Oh, my God. They lost to Billy Napier.
They lost to Toledo at home by 28 points. That's
true, too.
Greatest time to be a Rutgers and Jets fan ever. Is this is this Craig Epstein's alt account? Is this his burner, Jersey Jet? It's probably right up there.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron Rodgers gives you guys a lot of hope. I'm just not confident in that one, but Rutgers, the Rutgers side, 100%.
College Game Day crew overall had Virginia Tech beating us. LOL. We proved who picked wrong. 4 of the 6, I think, picked Virginia Tech. The only ones who didn't were Desmond Howard and Kirk Herbstreit. So those are the guys that you should pay more attention to, because they clearly respect Rutgers more.
The only 2 that actually gave a response for their reasonings too when they were picking Rutgers.
Yeah, and in fairness, one of those people were Blake Shelton, who is not a ball knower.
No, he said literally, "I'm picking them because Saban picked them," and that's why.
Is Will Rogers mobile? He is mobile.
Mobile enough.
So that's not going to be fun.
I mean, he's not Kyron Drones mobile, but mobile enough.
So I hate to end this while we got so many people still watching, but
I wanted to eclipse that 1K mark, to be honest with you. But it's so close. But
we are close.
I don't think it's going to happen.
It's all good. This was a great win in summation. Rutgers won on the road against Virginia Tech. We were the underdog. I'm happy about it. This is a game, even though I picked them to win, I didn't expect it to be like this. I thought it would be more of a resounding kind of feel-good win, but really it was just we were up so big so early and had so many opportunities to just really make this an ugly game for Virginia Tech. We didn't.
Mm-hmm.
That's what worries me. There's a lot of teachable moments from this. You just got to hope that we get into next week relatively healthy, and let's hope that there was like a flu bug that we weren't aware of, and that's why Kyle Mungai didn't look like Superman today like he normally does. But
yeah, that's all you got to really hope for. There's two more questions. I know you want to get off, but
yeah, throw them up.
I'm gonna throw them up real quick. I know we kind of hit on this before, but do you think they get ranked? Probably not, but it's close. They'll get votes, I think, 100%. It really depends. I didn't even look at the bottom of the AP poll this week. Like, who's at the bottom?
Honestly, I don't know, but there's quite a few teams that will be dropping off because of results from this week.
So Northern Illinois lost. Michigan won. Louisville, Clemson won, right? Nebraska lost 22. So that's 22 and 23. That's two of them right there. Syracuse was third in receiving votes, lost. So they might receive a lot more votes than you think, actually.
Yeah, I get to totally see that.
Yeah, it's interesting. What else we got on here? Receivers. What you thought they would be? I'd say probably. Yeah, I thought they'd use Nassim Brantley a little more just because the way Shannon hyped him. He had a couple really nice catches in the offseason and scrimmages again, mind you, versus backups. But I thought overall he looked pretty good in the offseason. I thought they'd use him more. But Ben Black, I think Ben Black's going to get more and more burn. I know he didn't really do much today, but he somehow got the phantom pass interference call, which I don't know. They showed the all 22 film of that too, and I recorded it. I'm going to tweet it out later, but I don't know how the hell they got that call.
Well, considering they didn't really call much that game, I'm glad that they decided to start using their whistles when it benefited us. Because I don't think they really called much on either side. I think there was 8 total penalties in the game, 4 on each team.
Yeah, it's quiet day. 2, 3.
All right, let's hop off. Appreciate everybody coming around for our post-game show. We will have a recap early next week to go over what we saw on tape.
Yep.
Kind of after we've been able to marinate on some of our thoughts, what we thought of the game. We're going to have a pregame show with somebody who covers Washington person TBD. If you have a favorite Washington podcast or favorite beat writer who follows Washington and you want us to reach out to them, feel free to let us know. But yeah, on to Washington. This is a big win. Celebrate it tonight. It wasn't pretty at times. Nope. Half the game, it wasn't pretty, but a win is a win is a win is a win. They're not easy to come by, especially in the Power Four. So excited to be walking away from tonight with a win. Any last word, Rich?
Halfway to a bowl game, baby. So every one of you that's yelling at me for posting these bowl projections each week, get over it because they're getting one easily, without a doubt in my mind.
Yeah, and anybody who is tailing us on any of these bets in the offseason for the over and win totals, you're welcome, because I don't see any way that they don't get to 7 wins. They need to win 4 of their next 9 games, and they got a bunch of stinkers in there. So enjoy that. All right, everybody. Well, thanks again for listening. This has been another edition of the Knight Report podcast. Signing off.